All right, thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Brian Laufer, and I am the Vice President here at QuoteWerks. Today we are going to be talking about all the new features added in QuoteWerks version 24. If you are on an older version or build, you can easily update to the latest just by installing version 24 build 1. You do not need to install incremental updates. And when you install an update, you receive all of the features and all of the fixes available up to and including the builder version you just installed. So if you have any questions while we go along here, please feel free to ask them in the GoToWebinar toolbar questions box. If there are any questions that I do not answer throughout the demo, I will do my best to answer them towards the end. That can be about this release or QuoteWerks in general. If you think of a question after the webinar or I do not fully answer your question, make sure to email or give us a call. And the best email for that is just community@quoteworks.com. So as you can see, we will have a short PowerPoint presentation first to discuss some of the new features. Then we will be actually demonstrating the key features for you, followed by the opportunity to ask more questions. In version 24 so far, we have 24 new features, 2 miscellaneous features, and of course fixes. It is software. But we will be releasing additional builds as well as point releases throughout the year as well, just like we've done with previous versions. So one of the things we have done each year is updated the QuoteWerks login screen with each version. We've been doing this since version 5.6. This helps differentiate each version, and we do this for both QuoteWerks Desktop as well as QuoteWerks Web. So first we had version 5.6, which was our snowy trees version. And then we moved on to our desert. Then we had our lighthouse and stormy seas. And with version 24, we have our beach, which I think is pretty awesome. So I'll go ahead and do that. All right. So in each version, typically we have version updates that are specific to each CRM that we integrate with, and that's no different with version 24. In version 24, we added support for Sugar CRM 13.2, but we also added significant speed enhancements for all versions of Sugar. So if you use Sugar CRM, you'll want to update to this release. It doesn't matter what you're doing with Sugar, it's going to be faster. We also added updates for versions for Goldmine 2023.4, Act for Web, QuickBooks Desktop 2024, Sage 50 US edition, formerly Peachtree 2024. And then for ConnectWise PSA, we actually added an additional tax level. They added an additional level through their API, so we were able to expose that as well as additional ones as well. And you'll be able to see all of those on our website. So I noticed in the poll that I had before we started the webinar that not many people here were on QuoteWerks Web. So just so you know, we do have a web version of QuoteWerks, and one of the key features we added was Azure SSO. So QuoteWerks Web now supports Microsoft Azure Single Sign-On, or SSO for short. In addition to the existing text message two-factor authentication capability, authenticator apps, such as like Google or Microsoft, as well as the Duo multi-factor authentication that we already had as well. So if you're using QuoteWerks Web, there are multiple ways to do multi-factor authentication now, which is awesome. Do you manually type addresses into QuoteWerks? Are the addresses in your CRM always accurate? Have you ever forgotten to include a suite number? With the new address verification feature, these issues are now in the past. US addresses will be more accurate, and with all of the required shipping details before creating the new contact in your CRM, sending the quote to the customer, and most importantly, before your tech tries to arrive on site. All right. There were a couple of questions that came in about SSO, and I'll answer those as we get along here a little bit further. So we've got ZIP plus 4 based sales tax rates. And so do all of your addresses in your CRM have the zip code plus 4 digits, also known as the 9-digit zip code? In most cases, they do not. And this is required to retrieve the most accurate sales tax information for the addresses you are quoting. QuoteWerks can now do this for you. There is no need to select from a list of tax rates because now you will have the tax rate that is specific to that address rather than just the 5-digit postal code. The question here from Paul. Is this runtime feature a paid add-on? I'm not sure what you're talking about that. I'm guessing that it's probably the Zip Plus 4. If so, then that is for the real-time. You would need to have the real-time module for that. So the goal of QuoteWerks is to present the most accurate quote to your customers in the shortest amount of time. And part of this is automation. And we want to automate as much as possible to make your salespeople more effective. Now that we have the ability to correct addresses and obtain the Zip Plus 4, we can also automatically obtain the correct sales text rate for your customer as soon as you retrieve the contact from your CRM. And this is a user setting that is available as long as you have the QuoteWerks real-time module and are up to date on UMP. There's no additional subscriptions that you need for this feature. So whole document spell check. This is a feature the community has been asking about for a very, very long time. QuoteWerks now supports whole document spell check, not just individual fields. You can press the F7 key while in a text box and it'll display like a traditional spell check dialog. But you can also choose the tools spelling menu or do Control F7 while running that will actually run the whole document spell check, which is a wizard. And the wizard will be displayed that presents each field one by one, indicating your misspelled words. And the whole document spell check can include fields on the quote workbook tabs, as well as line item columns for each item. And each QuoteWerks user can customize the fields to spell check in the QuoteWerks document. And I'll show you exactly how to do that as we go through here. Have you ever added items to your quote from Etilize searches, but couldn't remember the search terms you used? Well, your 20 most recent searches will now be available to you in the drop-down list. Obviously, you're going to need the product content subscription, but now you'll be able to see your most recent searches, which should help you when creating your quotes. This is another feature that people have been asking for a while. And basically, if you're including the deposit on your quotes, does your deposit amount need to include not only a portion of the line items, but also the sales tax and shipping amount? And these can now be included in the QuoteWerks deposit amount calculations. Before, it was just the individual items themselves, a percentage of. Now, this is not a feature in the major feature list, but I was at an ASCII event a couple months back, and one of the attendees had a great feature request. He wanted to be able to turn on and off the QuoteValet reminders easily, but also know if they were on before the quote was sent to the customer. And this is why we added the new display indicator and the select all, deselect all buttons, as you can see from these screenshots. So as you can see, I've got 6 reminders set, but if I wanted to, I could click on the reminder options button here, and it would show me the select all, deselect all options there. So you've seen an emphasis on US-based sales tax in this release. So I thought it would be important to provide a quick overview of the sales tax options in QuoteWerks. QuoteWerks can handle sales tax and value-added taxes from around the world. This includes the UK VAT, Canadian PST, GST, and harmonized taxes, as well as others. Many companies only sell and ship to local businesses where the sales tax rate does not change from order to order. For these companies, they can simply set a sales tax rate that all new quotes will default to. In the cases where they have like maybe 2 different options, you could actually create a template for specific quotes as well, or specific locations. If you don't have our real-time module with the automatic sales tax rate lookup, you can set up a list of sales tax rates that are commonly used within your jurisdiction and select the appropriate rate when you initially create the quote. Often customers just look up tax rates for free online if they do not know the different tax rates. Using the QuoteWerks data link feature, you can retrieve the sales tax rate for the selected customer from a field in your CRM solution. This is a great option if you already maintain your tax rates in your CRM or PSA, enabling you to only have to manage the rates in one location. And all of these have been available for a very long time in QuoteWerks, and you don't need any subscriptions or additional add-ons or anything to make them work. So what is new or enhanced, I'll say, with version 24, and this is only for US customers, using our sales tax rate lookup service included with our Realtime module, QuoteWerks can automatically look up the appropriate US sales tax rate for your shipping location using the ZIP+4 postal code. This feature automatically verifies your shipping address, determining what the ZIP+4 postal code is. If your state has different tax rates, or if you sell to other states, this will be the most efficient option for you. Some states and counties charge different rates for different types of products or services and limit up to what value the sales tax is applied. This is also known as a single unit limit. Other times you need to hit a specific sales limit in a state before having to charge sales tax in that outside state. If you need these advanced features at this time, we recommend you use a third-party integration that integrates with providers like Avalara. As an example, Connected Software has an integration between Avalara and QuoteWerks. We have more information on this on our website. So I just wanted to make sure that we gave you this high-level overview of all your different options when it comes to sales tax. So, in this release, we are going to be talking a lot about US taxes, but we can be used in multiple countries with lots of different tax options. So I just wanted to make sure that I went over that. All right, so this is the time of year that we recognize our top partners and MVP as well. And I especially wanted to point out Quinadina here, who's been a top partner of ours for well over a decade. And you can see our top 10 partners here, most of which are either in the UK or the US, but we also have Gold Rush, who's in Australia as well as New Zealand as well. And the QuoteWerks MVP was voted on by the QuoteWerks community last month. Matt from Prestige Quoting took the top spot this year again. I'm not even sure how many years he's done it in a row, but he's definitely got that spot cemented. But I also wanted to recognize Denise from Equilibrium Consulting, who was our runner-up this year. Thanks to everyone who voted, and congratulations to our winners. And apparently Matt is on this call, and apparently it's his 14th. So thank you for that, Matt. Congratulations. All right. I also wanted to make sure that you knew about our winter special. It is the perfect opportunity to add more licenses or renew your maintenance if it has expired. The QuoteWerks Winter Special is 10% off all licenses, addition upgrades, and UMP. And this also includes the Realtime module, hint, hint, that we're going to be talking a lot about here. And this goes through December 22nd of this year. If you have questions about the Winter Special, please feel free to talk to your reseller or give us a call at 407-248-1481 or email sales@quoteworks.com. And I wanted to make sure that before we got into the demo here, you knew about all the resources that you have available to you. We have free trials available for all of our add-ons. We have videos on our website. We have help documentation that is continually updated. We have live and recorded webinars. So this webinar is live, but we do have all the past webinars available on our website as well. We have professional services, training options, as well as our partners are great. We just listed the top 10 partners there. Those would be great resources for you. And then we also have phone and email support as well. And then a reminder, if you have questions, ask them in the GoToWebinar question box. The webinar will be recorded and it will be available on our website as well as our YouTube channel. And if you want to stay up to date with all things QuoteWerks, make sure to follow us on social media. This way you will know about new updates, features, webinars, events that we'll be at, and more. So let's go ahead and launch QuoteWerks here. And as you can see, there's our new splash screen. And I'll use my super secure password. All right, so before we get started, there are a couple of questions that came up. See, Jason had a question. Any chance Okta will be supported in the SSO list? There's definitely a possibility. Our web developers are hard at work right now, adding a ton of new features to QuoteWerks Web. So I would recommend you send an email to support@quoteworks.com requesting the feature, or go to our forum and to our feature request area and request it there. That's the best way to get things started. That's how we normally get new features added into the pipeline. Let's see, and then Mark was asking about AWS SSO. Same thing. That's the best thing to do. I know that people want Google as well, so I know that that one is available is currently a feature request. I'm not sure about the AWS one though. So that is the best place to go. That way we can ask questions and other customers can upvote the feature request. Let's see, question from Vanet here, is QuickBooks Online supported? Yes, we do have a QuickBooks Online integration, but that is an additional module. But basically it is a flat fee per month, not based on the number of users that you have. And you can request a trial of that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started now that we've gone through some of those questions. There's a couple of more that have come in, but we'll handle those as we go through here. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about the address verification capabilities in QuoteWerks. So there's a couple of things you could do. So if you wanted to, you can manually type in an address. So if I wanted to do like our current address here at our office, you'll notice I don't have a zip code, and I do require a suite number for this address. So let's go ahead and click on this verify address button. This will be available if you have the QuoteWerks Realtime module and your UMP is up to date. So we'll click on this and you'll see it says address not complete, requires a unit number. But you will see that the zip code was auto-populated with the zip +4. And that zip +4 number is super important for the sales tax, especially if you're in jurisdictions that have like some weird things depending on what corner of the street you're on, sort of thing. But so let's go ahead and add our suite number here, and we'll verify one more time, and it went ahead and fixed it. And you'll notice that sometimes the zip code will, the +4 will change even with a suite number. It's really interesting. I don't know enough about it so to talk about it more than that, but that's pretty normal. Okay. And you'll notice that down below here it says the address was verified and standardized. We can also bring in an address. So in this case, we'll go ahead and bring in this address here, and we'll do the ship to as well. And you'll notice that we brought it in from a contact manager, or in this case, I'm just using the built-in QuoteWerks contact database. And I can click on the standardize, and it went ahead and standardized it for us. And it also has that the address was verified and standardized. It's pretty simple to use, right? You can also get the zip +4 sales tax rate as well. So if I go to the sale info tab here, you'll notice that my tax rate is 6%. That is not correct, however. If I click on the lookup sales tax rate, you'll notice that now I've got a 6.5% because in my county of Orange County, it does require a surtax here. So I'll click on select, and now my tax rate is correct. If for some reason I didn't have the zip +4 in there, you'll notice that the verification indication is gone. I can click on this and it will go ahead and verify the address for me automatically. I can click on select, I go back over here, and now it's verified and standardized. All right. Okay, so that's just, again, just kind of showing you a little bit there. But like I was saying before, you know, we're doing some very basic thing. I mean, we're doing the pieces, but it's still not automating it. And that's where the auto fix address and auto bring in the sales tax is important. So if I go to the tools, actually, before we do that, yeah, that's fine. I'm sorry. So let's go to the tools and then my preferences here. And this is going to be a user setting. If I go under my miscellaneous tab here in general, you'll see that there's address verification mode, and then also a sales tax rate lookup mode. So if you're going to automatically always verify the address and get the real-time sales tax rate lookup, that's all you need to do. You don't need to do the other one. So let's go ahead and click on OK. Let's go ahead and do a new quote here. Let's go ahead and bring in a contact. This case, we'll go ahead and bring in this Polk County user here. Click on OK. And my tax rate changed from 6% to 7% automatically, and it fixed the address as well. So it's done automatically now. So if I were to go ahead and select a different contact here, so we'll go ahead and bring in the same one that we did before. We'll bring it into the ship to. You'll see that it just updated that, and now my sales tax is 6.5%. So as a sales rep, I don't have to remember to look up the sales tax rate. It's automatically going to be selected for me. And question that came in from Andy, where was that setting? It's under the Tools menu, My Preferences, and this is a user by user preference under Miscellaneous. And then we've got General More, because we keep adding more settings that you can do here. And then it's right here under Sales Tax Rate Lookup, and we've got the Auto Verify. All right. Okay, and then, so Nick had a question here. What if a company is tax exempt? Can we define that so it does not do it automatically? So with that one, I would recommend bringing that in from the contact manager, and you can do that using the data link, not doing it this way. And the reason behind that is because you've probably already got it set up in your contact manager that the customer is tax exempt. We'll probably be adding more functionality to the sales tax capabilities in the next couple of months. And I know that is something that's come up, but for right now, Nick, I would recommend bringing that in from the from your CRM or PSA. All right. Okay, so question here from James. If you set the auto lookup, will it then update the address in your CRM? And in this case, James is using HubSpot. No, it won't. However, if you are creating a brand new address, we can create that contact inside, or a new contact. We can create the new contact for you within your CRM, but we are not going to auto update it. Only because we want to make sure that your CRM is the key that is handling everything. So if we do have to update it, that would be the indication to your sales rep that they need to do something in the CRM. All right, and then Denise had a question if it can be set globally. It cannot automatically be set globally, but there is a way to do it using our set commands, Denise. You can send me an email and I'd be happy to show you how to do that. I'm not going to do it on here. It'll go above a bunch of people's heads, and I don't want to confuse anybody here. All right. Okay, so that's that setting. I hope you see how beneficial this feature really is. It's going to save a lot of time for people here. All right, so now let's talk about Spellcheck. So Spellcheck, again, this is something that people have been asking for a long time, and that's the way an ability to spell check the entire QuoteWerks document. And to do that, let's go ahead and talk about the actual settings themselves. This, again, is going to be a user preference. And I'm going to go to the Tools, My Preferences menu. And in this case, I'm going to go to Spelling here. And then we have a couple of settings here for ignoring words in uppercase, anything with numbers, internet and file addresses. Again, pretty standard stuff there. But also, now we can specify which fields we are going to spell check. And you may not want us to spell check everything. Like we have some customers that will bring in very technical specs. And a lot of times those technical specs, they're going to have some really weird words in it. So if your tech specs are in, say, Custom Memo 01, maybe you just want to ignore Custom Memo 01 while you're going through and doing the spell check. So to do this, what we can do is we can click on this button here, and now you can see all the fields that we will spell check. So in this case, I'm doing the closing notes and custom memos 1 through 4, as well as internal notes, introduction notes, and purchasing notes. Now, just because I don't have them selected here doesn't mean that I can't spell check them. It just means I'd have to spell check them on an individual case basis. I'm not going to auto spell check all of them because I might have some really weird words in those fields. Also, if I go to the document items one here, we can specify the fields as well. So in the case where I was talking about where maybe the custom memo field had some weird text specs in it, just uncheck it. And that way it won't be checked. And maybe check everything else. And there we go. We can just do everything but that field and click on OK. So now let's go ahead and have an actual document here. Okay, so I've got some things here now. If I go to the custom tab here and just put some gobbledygook in there, if I hit F7, it's going to go ahead and spell check. And obviously this is not a real word, but if I click on test, if I type in the word test here and then hit F7, you'll see that it found that there was one word and there are no misspelled words. That's great, right? If I go to like the description field here and hit F7, one word was checked, no misspelled words. However, if I'm gonna just put in some weird stuff there, go ahead and hit F7. Now it found that word, okay? So I'm going to ignore it in this case. Now, let's go ahead and we're just gonna put in some extra stuff here. We're skipping custom memo 1, so I don't want to put anything in there. All right, and now I can either go to the tools menu and whole document spell check, or I can do Control F7. A lot of people prefer just to use the shortcut key, but you can just go ahead and do this. And I was doing some testing before, and you'll see that in row 2, field 1 of my description, I'll see that I had this misspelled word. What do I want to do with it? Just by right-clicking on it, and I'll go ahead and correct it. And we'll go to next, laptop, next. Still misspelled, I can right-click on it, and gives me a suggestion here. We'll go next, and it is now complete. Apparently I didn't have the custom text 02 there specified. I probably hit cancel on that. I do apologize. So let's go to tools, my preferences, spelling, document items fields. Yeah, I hit cancel. All right, so we'll go ahead and select everything, click on OK one more time. And then we're gonna go to whole document spell check. And now we're checking that custom text 02. So obviously it's not finding the actual word in there. Let's move on to the Etilize recent search. So when it comes to Etilize, we have the ability, obviously, to do searches. But what you'll notice in the Etilize area now is we have something different. Instead of just a straight up text box, we now have a drop-down list. So I can see my most recent searches. So in this case, I had QuoteWerks as one of my searches. Look at that, I found QuoteWerks. But I could also do a search for like laptop, Lenovo. Do a find. Let's go ahead and do a couple of finds here and see what happens. And we'll do a maybe an Xbox. And now, if I click on the drop-down list, you'll see my most recent searches. It's pretty awesome. So there's nothing to set up, it just automatically happens, and it'll show the most recent searches by user. So this is not going to be a site-wide setting, but you do have the ability, if you do have, things that are normally purchased across the board for the entire company, you do have the ability to create your favorites, and they could be a public favorite that could be for the entire company. EJ had a question, will these spelling features be coming to QuoteWerks Web? Actually, we're not, and the reason behind that is because most people already have the spell check capability built into their browser. If that is not the case for you, definitely contact support or have a feature request added to our forum, and we can talk about that. Any questions on the dropdown? There's not really much to talk about, it just works. So there we go. All right, so I'll go ahead and close that. And then let's talk about the new deposit feature. So for that, let's go ahead, should have added some products here. So now I've got some items added to my quote. Let's go ahead and delete this line. So now I have a subtotal of $4,845.33. I've got a tax of $314.95, and over here, my deposit is 3870.21. Let's find out why. Well, in this case, I've got it set up to do a percentage of the document. But what I could do instead is I could total up the extended price of all items, include the sales tax, and then even include the shipping amount as well. So if I click on OK, let's go ahead and say what we want. We'll do, we're doing 75%, so let's do that. Okay, there we go. Of course, I don't have the shipping amount in there. So let's go ahead and add a shipping. And there we go. So we're able to add in the different percentages just like that. Now, this doesn't have to be something that's like a one-off. You can set it as a default as well. And to do that, what we're going to do is go to the Tools menu, go to Options, and then we can go to our deposit amount over here. And then from here, what we can do is do the exact same thing we just did. We'll do the extended price of basically any item type, and we'll just keep it as unassigned, and we'll do 75%, and then include sales tax, and then include the shipping amount. And just like that, moving forward, any new deposit will be 75%, and it will include the sales tax as well as the shipping amount. Pretty simple there. And that is a site-wide setting. All the other things we were talking about earlier, that was a user setting. That is going to be a site-wide setting. All right. So now let's go ahead and talk about the new QuoteValet reminder functionality that I was talking about before. So what I'm going to do first is, actually, I've already got a contact. Perfect. Let's go ahead and save this document. All right, so I've got my document that's saved. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and deliver this. And we'll do a very simple one here. And I'm going to go ahead and upload it to QuoteValet. Of course, I didn't check to make sure I had my email address in there. Okay. And now we'll go ahead and upload this to QuoteValet. All right, so you'll see automatically it's showing me how many reminders I have set. What I can do now is I can click on reminder options, uncheck them all, and I can see now that there are no reminders set. So I can go ahead and upload this. Maybe I want to send this to a colleague so that they can review it before I send it to the customer. So I don't want the clock starting already when it comes to those. So now what I can do is, go ahead and copy this URL, give it to a colleague, and I can go ahead and close this. And then the next time I go back in, we'll go ahead and deliver. Go ahead and re-upload this to QuoteValet. And I can still see that I have no reminder set, but I can go to reminder options now, click on select all, and you can see that now I have the reminder set. Likewise, if I wanted to, I could click that down. You'll see that I have 4 reminders set. So that's just giving your sales rep the indication to know that, hey, I don't have all of these reminders set. If you're not using the QuoteValet auto reminders, I highly recommend that you do. We use them internally all the time. We use them to remind our customers as well, you guys, but we also use it to remind our sales reps as well. And where that's important is usually you'll do a little bit of a stagger in here. So like maybe after the customer has accepted the quote but not paid it, what we'll want to do is then, follow up with them. So maybe, follow up 2 days after it's been paid, and then maybe the sales rep will get followed up 4 days after it'll get paid. So that's just ways that you can use that functionality. Let's see, what else we have here? And also, so those are all the major features that I want to talk about in this release. Of course, there are more new features, and you can see all the new features by going to QuoteWerks.com. So let's go ahead and do that. And if I go to the customer area here, you'll notice that it'll always tell me what the current release is of QuoteWerks, and any new updates and news or anything like that we want to give you guys. But you can click on the update center here, so right now it's just showing us version 2024 build 1.04. If I click on show all updates, it's going to give you every single update that we've done, but you can also click on view feature list. One indication you'll notice is right here. That what we've got here is the ability to see the previous videos that we've done. So this video for this webinar will actually show up right here in the next day or two. But if I click on view features list here, and then you can see right there, we've got all of the features in this release. All right. And then also, if you had questions when I was going over the sales the sales tax within QuoteWerks, if you go to integrations and sales tax rates, you've got a bunch of videos here that go over some of the different tax rate options, and you'll notice this here is going to look pretty similar to what I just went over, but it's important that you guys know where this is. Let's see, Sam had a question about the documentation for Azure SSO. If it's not in the documentation on our website yet, then I would definitely follow up with our support team, and they'll be able to get those for you. Reminder options for QuoteWerks Web, I'm not sure if those are in there yet. I know that they've been making a lot of changes on web. We'll be doing a webinar probably next month on all of the new QuoteWerks Web functionality. See, James, I know you've asked this a couple of times. Will scripting support be added to QuoteWerks Web? We hope so, but what we're trying to do first is get all the feature parity that 95% of the customers use in QuoteWerks Web that we have in QuoteWerks Desktop. And before we do scripting or any sort of API support, we want to do what most people use. A very small percentage of our customers actually use our API. So that's why that isn't there yet. All right. Okay, any other questions? I want to make sure that I'm able to answer any questions that you have. This time is yours. Let's see. Okay. Matt had a question here about like why we come up with, where we come up with the questions or the new features that we come up with. They come up from a variety of different places. The biggest one is going to be on our forum, as well as from tech support, but also when we go to events. That's one of the reasons why I like going to events. Two of the new features in this release were specifically because of some people that I talked to at events. You know, the sales tax rate was something that always comes up, but like the QuoteValet auto reminder, that was something that, you know, I had never really thought about, and it made a big difference for him. But the best thing to do for a new feature request is to go to our forums. That's where we go to look at adding new functionality and new features, because us as developers, we can see how many people have upvoted those requests, as well as a developer, I can ask questions to you, the end user, and say, hey, you know, why do you want to do this? Or I could also ask it out to the entire community on that same post and get feedback from multiple users, not just you. So that way we're creating a feature that is more than just a feature, it's a solution for everybody. All right. Hope that answers your questions there. Let's see. Let's go back to the customer area here. Okay. Nick had a question earlier that I did not answer. So since we've got some time here, with all of the great videos available, is there a recommended training path we can give new QuoteWerks users? We definitely need to come up with a better, you know, do this sort of thing. But as a new user, we do offer some great services, but I agree, we should be coming up with a good, you know, quick start guide. If you work with a partner, I'm sure they can provide that to you as well, but I will definitely take a note of that, Nick, for a quick start there. Question here from Sam. This was a feature that was in the last feature, or actually last release. It's actually one of the ones that we added because we were getting a lot of requests for it over time. It was the ability to have a custom CNAME for QuoteValet. It's super simple. It's really super simple. So what I'm going to do is go to Tools Options here. And then what we're going to do is go to QuoteValet and then QuoteValet Setup. And then from there, once it talks out to QuoteValet server, it's going to come back with all the settings. And just like that, all you have to do is put in whatever you want for your CNAME. As long as it's not one of our reserved CNAMEs, you can use it. and you can just click on save CNAME afterwards, and then you're good to go. That's all there is to it. There is nothing else. So you'll notice that, I don't know, I probably closed them, but my CNAME was just QuoteWerks Webinar instead of the www.QuoteValet.com. All right, just a few more moments here. This is your time here, so I'm happy to provide that to you. Again, we do have on our website the information about the winter special, so definitely take advantage of that. Question that just came up from Jim. It was the ability to what was required for the what was required for this new sales tax functionality, and that is the real-time module with a current UMP. There are no additional subscriptions that are required in order to use this functionality. Let's see, Sam had a question about using their own domain with QuoteValet instead of just the CNAME. That is something that has been a feature request, and we are looking at other options to be able to do that. That does change things a little bit as far as what's required, because you will need to make changes on your server in order, or in your firewall and whatnot as well, to make that happen. So that's why we haven't done that yet. The CNAME was low-hanging fruit, which made a lot of sense to do. But for that functionality, Sam, if you want, you can request it on our forum. That's the best thing to do. All right. Looks like there's no more questions coming in. So with that, happy holidays to all of you. And if you have any other questions, send an email to community@quoteworks.com if it's regarding this specific webinar, or you can send an email to support@quoteworks.com, and they'll be happy to answer any questions about any of these new features that we just went over. Hopefully you guys like what we've done in version 24. And with that, have a great day.